Hello, my name is June, and today I'm going to be doing my makeup. I'm going to be using this palette today, and I'm going to be talking about what I have learned, and sorry if you can hear my neighbors, what I have learned about meeting people where they are. And this was a very, very difficult lesson for me to learn, and it can apply to a lot of different situations. One situation, so it can apply to, even something like, it can apply to work, it can apply to relationships, and any kind of relationship. As long as you're in a relationship, you're going to be having to meet people where they are, and it's a very important concept because you can kind of double down and go, oh, I want people to meet me where I am. But then if everyone does that, then we're not ever going to make any meaningful relationships, and we're going to be cloistering ourselves off from really valuable experiences and relationships that we could have. Now, I'm not saying that, you need to not have boundaries and that kind of thing at all. No, not at all. But I am someone who very much used to be, people can meet me where I am. Or I would swing back and forth between not having any boundaries and having way too harsh of boundaries. And I think now that I'm a little older, I think I swing a little less. So that's probably good. But this kind of topic can be really uncomfortable. Meeting people where they are can be really uncomfortable. Today I'm going to be doing actually a really uncomfortable look for me. I have not used this palette very much. I really like the color story. I think it's really innovative, but I'm not a big pink person, or I'm not a big pink or green or like this color yellow. Like a lot of this palette, here is my comfort right here. This is what I like. So this is what I've used the most out of this palette. And so I'm going to, in the spirits of this uncomfortable conversation and topic, I'm going to be doing a look that I am uncomfortable with, because why not? I think I'm going to do a quadrant. These are really good laid out in quadrants, like this or this, or and I think I'm gonna do pink. Makes me really uncomfortable, and I really don't like this little quadrant here, so maybe that's what I will do. Or like I don't look at this and get excited, so or wait, maybe this one, whatever, somewhere down here, I will try it. But yeah, this was, meeting people where they are was very difficult for me, and realizing that we all have different experiences, that sort of thing. Different experiences, different ways of behaving in the world has been challenging. It has definitely been challenging. And one thing I will say is that when you start meeting people where they are, it not only invites relationships in, it also removes relationships from your life, because you start to gain empathy, and you start to have you start to have harder conversations with people sometimes, that make some people uncomfortable, and it can really open your eyes to the people that are closest to you sometimes. Like I had a friend for a long time, and there was a situation where it was really difficult for me to reconcile what had happened in that specific situation, And we kind of swept it under the rug, and I was just like ignoring it. Well, I don't want to say ignoring it, but my reality was the only reality that I was accepting in that situation. And when when we finally talked about it a little more, I gained their perspective, and I asked, clarifying questions about, how did you view this situation? What do you think about this situation now? When we were in that situation, what was your mindset, and that sort of thing, and trying to really understand their perspective. And when I learned about their perspective, I realized that this person was not somebody I wanted to maintain relationships with. So that's something that can happen when you meet people halfway, or when you meet people halfway, or you start to accept people for who they are and you meet them where they are. You start to realize, like, wow, sometimes this person is not who I want in my life. So that's one aspect that can come from it. Another aspect, I'll use my partner and I as an example for this one, because any relationship, it's probably a good idea to do this. And especially in my romantic relationship, this was really important, because there was a lot of times where if I had just assumed what I assumed and didn't talk about it with him, or didn't clarify things, it would be a very different relationship right now. But just, I keep holding this upside down, just asking him clarifying questions and really trying to meet him, or really trying to understand his perspective and meet him halfway of, how did you view this situation? And not everyone is going to give you the answer that you want, and that's fine. You shouldn't ask questions to get the answers that you want, whether they're positive or negative, which I think is a very common thing that people fall into. Like, I've done that plenty of times, and I don't know how helpful that is for relationships and your specific goals, but it's a really interesting concept to me, and it's something that I'm currently doing right now as well. I'm trying to face some situations in my life that require me to give my perspective, because in this situation that I'm dealing with, I have been meeting people where they are and not allowing people to meet me where I am. And so that's something that I'm currently working towards. And whether they meet me where I am or not, that's a different thing. What do I want to do? I'm so uncomfortable with this little quadrant. Or am I going to do a quadrant? Yes, I will do the quadrant. I said I was going to do the quadrant. I will do the quadrant. Going in with the screen, water lily. And so this is something that I'm still working towards. And I've done this quite a bit in my life. I'm a very confrontational person. I am very much okay with disturbing the peace and having uncomfortable conversations and that sort of thing, for the sake of not having this issue in the future. But for me, that's just really important for me to feel like my authentic self. And I don't know, I'm not a therapist, if being your authentic self is so important in every relationship that you have. and, you know, making every issue that you have known. Like, I don't know if that's correct. It seems a little exhausting, I'm not gonna lie, to operate in that mindset. But at the same time, it might also be exhausting if you also have trained yourself to never be your authentic self. So you might need to do, or you might need to consider doing a whole life reset. I'm not sure. I'm not a therapist. I'm just pondering life currently. And in my relationships, there's very few that I have maintained till now that aren't completely authentic. And the few that I do have, or yeah, where I can't be my authentic self, and the few that I do have are that's what I'm really struggling with, because at this point in my life, you know, I have grown up with a lot of, I'm 27 and I've grown up with, you know, my mom is in her 50s and all of her friends are in their 50s, and they're the ones who I grew up getting advice from about how to act and behave, and it was ultra feminist. It was ultra feminist, but it was the kind of feminism where it was like, yeah, men suck, men are the worst, also, like, all men are horrible, blah blah blah, the only man who's good is my husband and he also happens to be abusive. Like that kind of thing. And so I don't know where I was going with that. It's just, I don't remember where I was going with that. But a lot of people can probably relate. And not that I think that I'm any better. My method of learning from that experience and those people has been to not talk about how much other people are morally good or bad or suck, or like, I try to not say absolutes very much, because I don't think anything is absolute completely. I think everything, I'm a scientist, okay? I think everything falls within a bell curve to some degree. And, you know, I think, yeah. So, I remember where I was going with that whole thing. I think in order to be someone who says, like, I was raised around a lot of people who valued comfort over discomfort, and, you know, very fiery women and men who were really passionate and were really okay being uncomfortable in specific situations that they were used to being uncomfortable in, and not okay being uncomfortable in situations they weren't used to. And I think that's true for most people. And I don't think that, you know, I've heard people say, oh, if you're fat, if you're overweight, you're lazy. And, you know, that's so black and white. And I don't think anyone's personality is so black and white unless you are the extreme, like, 1% of a bell curve. And I highly doubt that you will meet many people like that, because it's 1% of billions of people in the world. So I don't know, like, it's unlikely. And I think, you know, there's certain things. So, like, if I take a step back and I look at my entire life, it looks like I am okay being uncomfortable, you know, facing challenges, all of that stuff. It looks good. It looks good so far. There's only 2 colors on my eyes, and one of it's tiling. So, like, I don't know. I think the next thing. Okay, so I think what is comfortable for me right now is to go in with this green-gray shade, willow, into the corner, and then go into the inner corner with this. But for the sake of being uncomfortable right now, I think I'm going to go with something that does make me uncomfortable. And I will go in with this green shade. I know it doesn't seem, to a lot of people, green is a neutral shade. I don't love green on me. I don't, like, I'm a blue purple person. That's what I like to wear most of the time. Even gray. I'm not gonna get it out. I have the Natasha Denona Xenon palette. I love that palette. I use that pretty often, just doing black and white looks. I like that. But I think reds, oranges, yellows, greens, terracottas, that whole color, all of that I am not used to it. I don't love doing those colors on me. I don't love the way I look with those skin colors, or with those colors on my eyes. I think it just has to do with, like, it's hard to tell because I'm in the sunlight, and so everything in the sunlight looks golden. And so right now in the camera, my skin looks really golden, but when I am just neutral inside of a building, which I'm in a building most of the time, whether it's at my house or whatever, I am very, very sallow and gray and olive tone, and I look sickly most of the time. And when I wear the warm colors, it really brings that out. And so it's just, it looks good right now in the sun, and I want to keep going with it, but that's just why I am uncomfortable with kind of basic colors that most people are comfortable with, I think. But yeah, anyways, lost my train of thought again. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was talking about people being uncomfortable. Yeah, like, if you look at my life on paper looks like I love being uncomfortable, which is kind of true, but also kind of not. Like, I'm okay with it because, you know, I grew up being uncomfortable most of the time, unfortunately. Like, it was just a part of life, was that I was uncomfortable. And when I was a teenager, I went on this journey of self-discovery, blah, 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 young adult self-discovery, blah, blah, blah. And I figured out that, you know, basically what I have been saying just now, that people are not so black and white. There's not really a significant amount of people who only do things that make them feel comfortable and only do things that make them feel uncomfortable. I think it's a mix of both. And once you start to consciously decide what you want your life to look like and what aspects of your life you're okay being uncomfortable, and start shifting your life to that, I think you start to unlock a different sort of potential in you. And it's, yeah, and I think it helps meeting people in other places. So yesterday I was talking about the bodybuilding in my other video. Oh, I don't remember if that was part of the recording that I got or didn't. Well, I was talking about bodybuilding and how uncomfortable it made me because I was super prejudiced against bodybuilders and that whole world beforehand. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to make myself uncomfortable and give this a shot. And if I don't like it, I never have to do it again. But also if I like it, I might like it, you know? And I do really enjoy the process of bodybuilding. Now, do I love getting up on a stage and doing the whole thing? I can already tell you, no, I don't like that. I haven't even done it, but I already know from just like being speakers at conferences, or being a speaker at a conference and doing all of that stuff in front of crowds and being the center of attention in that way. I don't love it. It's not something that I feed off of really at all. And so I already know that about me, but it'll be a challenge, a good uncomfortable challenge for me to get up on stage and do that sort of thing. But I really enjoy the uncomfortableness or the discomfort of bodybuilding. And yeah, I've learned to enjoy that sort of discomfort. And there's certain aspects that make me uncomfortable still, like I think I'm gonna actually mix these two, because this is the color that probably intimidates me the most out of this palette. So I think I'll do this and this a little bit. Maybe this. And I was gonna say in the inner corner. Nah, I'm just gonna do it. Okay. The shade. No, it's still powdery. I might need a white base for this. I have a white base. It's too late. It's fine. Maybe I'll add white over it. We'll see. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, learning to be uncomfortable. And there's going to be situations where you have adapted since childhood to be uncomfortable in those situations, and so you're comfortable with the discomfort of a specific situation. And so for me, for a long time, that was relationships. I was very okay with the discomfort of being in really abusive relationships. And whether that was like romantic or friendship or familial, most of my relationships were really bad for me specifically, like probably good for everyone involved. And there's still some people that I currently know who I try not to socialize with them very much, because it's kind of strange hearing them talk about the past and it not like, this is part of meeting people where they are, because you start to realize other people's perspectives of the same situation as you. And it's difficult to be, for me anyway, it's difficult for me to be upset, especially when you realize like, oh, this person thinks this way, probably, potentially, I don't know, I'm not a mind reader. That would be amazing if I was. Different people's perspectives of the same situation and how they interpret different things. So that, because it's really easy to just sit and spiral about a situation and about something that's happened, when in reality the other person involved or other people involved or whatever might, like in traffic, this is a good example. In traffic, somebody cuts you off and you get really upset and you think about it the rest of the day. That person might not even have known, like they might not have even been paying attention. They don't know you exist, but they have taken up so much space in your mind. And like maybe you see them at the gas station and you confront them and you're like, hey, why did you cut me off? And they say, I didn't even know I cut you off, I'm so sorry. And they turn out to be like a really decent person and remorseful, or maybe not, maybe they don't, I don't know. Like people, you can't, you have to meet people where they are, because if you don't, the place that you are might be worse off. Maybe it's not, but, and I'm not saying you have to either, but it is helpful if you desire growing as an individual and as a person. It's really difficult and it's really uncomfortable. And like 10 out of 10, I would rather do bodybuilding than do this sort of thing. But it's really necessary. And for me, I'm very adamant about, growing up in a really abusive environment and seeing people decide that their comfort is more valuable than changing who they are to, I guess, not be an abuser. That I think everyone who has been in a situation where there's any kind of abuse has the ability to do the same thing, because you know the structure. You don't necessarily have the same mentality that would make someone do that, but it's not a mystery of how things can play out, in the same way as like if you didn't know about that kind of thing. Like maybe not, maybe I'm making things up right now, I don't know, but you know, I try really hard to be really conscious and really proactive about making sure that I am fostering relationships in my own self so that I don't become an abuser. Like I would hate to find out about myself, like, oh, you know, you're an abuser. But yeah, I think most people would be upset to find that out about themselves most of the time, within the normal bell curve, I'm guessing. And so yeah, that's why I'm so determined and okay, well, I'm not okay, but I'm going to be uncomfortable and meet people where they are, which doesn't mean that I continue accepting them in my lives and that sort of thing. It just means, you know, having conversations, having difficult conversations with people. And yeah, so if the pink is not as bright, I really should have done a white base. Too late now. I think I would have. So far I don't think it looks bad, but I still don't like it. I don't like it. Maybe when I finish it. I don't think it looks bad. It's just not my preference, I think. I'm not a huge pink person. I think I'm going to go into, oopsie, I'm going to go into luster here, and I'm going to do the bottom. Generally when I do my eyes, I only take the dark shade, like, I wouldn't even say to the end of my, where the color in my eyeball is. I don't remember what that's called. Just like a tiny bit to kind of connect the wing. And then I take a lighter shade and I blend out with whatever is left on my brush and connect it to the inner corner to kind of brighten my eyes just a little bit. I say that, but I'm probably going to tightline my eyes with a dark color. I like the effect that it gives. But going to start. I also really enjoy, I was on a iridescent multi-chrome kick for a while, for like a whole year. I should probably recreate some of the looks that I did. It was really simple. It was, yeah, I really enjoyed those looks, where basically it was so simple. It was super simple. It looked really cool, and I was able to use my multi-chrome shadows, and it didn't take very long to do. I should probably do that again. But I just started recently wearing prescription glasses, like last year, and that has changed my makeup game a lot, because it's really difficult. Glasses neutralize eyeshadow a lot, and so it's just, oh my gosh, I love it's really hard to tell because I'm filming on an iPhone, and I'm not zooming in or anything because I don't want to mess anything up right now with the camera, or like accidentally stop the video or anything like that, because I'm not gonna lie, this is this is pretty low budget. Other than the makeup is it's the highest budget thing. Here it's pretty low budget, just giving this a try, this YouTube thing a try, and trying to be consistent and trying to just talk. Yeah, saying that reminds me of Katie from Makeup for a Lost Time, and I just, every time I think about Katie, I have a lot of it just warms my heart. She has a great personality, and I just really enjoy watching her. Yeah, she's a great part of my day when I get to sit down and watch one of her videos. And I will even watch the lives. I'm someone who sometimes most of the time I watch recorded lives, versus like actually live, because sometimes I'm working and I do not, this is interesting. I'm using the shade Muse, and I don't know if I love it on a brush. To be fair, this isn't the best brush to use it with, and I do not spray anything. I could, I just don't, I haven't, and I'm comfortable not, and so, but to be fair, when it comes to makeup, I have so much makeup and I have such good quality makeup that when I run into a palette like this where I'll get better payoff with spraying, I would rather just use my other palettes. Like, I'm kind of tempted. There's this shade that's similar in the Unearthly, it's not Sorcerer's, Fall Magic. I think that's what it is. The Fall Magic, the red, orangish, autumn, longer palette that might give me more sparkle. We'll see. I might do a little topper thing with that, but it's looking really gold, and I do not like the color gold on me, or rose. Well, okay, I dislike rose gold the most on me. Oh my, it makes my skin look so weird. But or at least to my perspective. But yeah, it's better than I thought. I can do some makeup. Yeah, I'm gonna use the Fall Magic. I have to. I'm gonna use this shade. It looks very similar, but I think it's more sparkly and will give me the, oh my gosh, you can't see it because my camera's not that good. Yes. Yes. I love that. Yeah, this is definitely not a video to say that you need to change or you need to do hard things more often. I don't know you and I don't know your life, and I'm just talking from my perspective, and it's not the correct perspective. I don't know if it's correct or incorrect. I don't know. I'm only 27, guys. I am only 27, and I am at the point that a lot of women that I have met who are older, they say that, in your 30s you start to get really tired of all the BS going on in life, and when you're in your 40s you really stop caring about other people's feelings, and then when you hit your 50s you really don't give a damn about anything, and you just, you live more fearlessly, you don't wear a bra and stuff when you go out, all that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is. I think it's just, maybe it's my moon in Aquarius. I don't know. I also have Mars in the first house, so like, I don't know. It might just be, this is the way that I am, this is my personality, but like, I skipped all of that to basically be like a 50-year-old. Like, I don't wear bras, my gosh. I'm wearing a bra right now. I put it on specifically for this video. And you know, that might disturb some people. My chest is not distracting. It's not huge. I'm very happy with the size of it and everything about it, and I'm very lucky in that it's not something that grabs attention to where I think that if it was bigger and more noticeable, I would be more hesitant for sure. But like, it's not distracting really at all. And like, I would go to work and you know, I would wear a bodysuit, so it was more compressed, but like I still wasn't wearing one, and it was so comfortable. Like, I dislike wearing bras. The only time I wear it is for this video and or for these videos, I guess, in to the gym, and that's more for my comfort, because I really don't like the feeling of like, I don't like the feeling of them moving around when I'm trying to do physical work. It's really distracting for me and uncomfortable, and so I wear a bra then. But in professional settings I don't, and it's not, and like, I work in corporate, and it's not distracting, or else I would have gotten talked to from HR for sure, because I work in a very like, not conservative, it's not conservative at all, it's just more professional, and there's a lot of older people there, and it's, you know, they're completely fine with it. Wow, my eyes look like a leaf right now. That's cool. This is really, this is probably my favorite shade in this palette, this one right here, but I'm really biased towards like iridescent multi-chrome shades that are more topperish. I do love shimmers, I love sparkly, but I am very biased towards really good mattes and then really good iridescent shimmers where it's like, oh my gosh, it's really good. I really like it. I'm still not super happy with like, I don't feel like this is enough sparkle over here for me. It's a little too satiny for my preference. I might need to go in with a finger. I might need to go in with a finger for it, actually. I'm liking this look. I'm liking this look. It's still, it's not my go-to still. No, I think it's just the green. I think it's just the green making the pink turn really golden, and I'm not loving that, but next time I just maybe won't bring the green so far in, potentially. So yeah, you know, if this video, I hope this video has been helpful so far, or, you know, made you think about your own life. And, you know, I do not want to ever make people feel ashamed or, you know, anything like that. And I think when we talk about discomfort, I think a lot of people have a lot of shame around things that they choose to be comfortable in and choose to be uncomfortable in. Like, a lot of my family, sometimes it's really difficult for me to talk about how much I enjoy working out and that sort of thing, because other than my mom and my brother, I have a lot of siblings, and other than my mom and my brother, and even my mom hasn't been working out very much. Like, I think a lot of people have a lot of shame when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle, specifically a physically healthy lifestyle. And I think that's the most socially almost black and white issue, I would say, of people not meeting other people halfway and really just making things really black and white. And it's really unfortunate because, I don't think people who are overweight or unhealthy in terms of, physical and health standards or physical health standards, I don't think that you can sum up someone and just say, oh yes, this person is a very unhealthy, lazy person. I don't think, for the most part, like, I have never met an obese person, which there's a lot in my family. I've never met someone who is obese or morbidly obese and was like, wow, this person is so lazy. Generally, everyone is working pretty hard at different things. And I think that gets really lost in the translation, or people, I don't know. And I don't want to say, they're also like the hardest working people I know. Like, it's dependent. It's very dependent on the person. But I've met a lot of people who were okay being uncomfortable to a certain degree, who are comfortable being uncomfortable in their physical body, there's different thresholds because like I can use my grandmas as an example. One of my grandmas was really, like, she could eat out to like fast food every day for every meal, and physically, metrically, like, I mean, she was very overweight. She was morbidly obese technically, and it didn't physically, like, she didn't have high blood pressure, she didn't have diabetes, she didn't have like anything physically wrong with her, and she was very active in different ways. Like, she was very social. She was a very, very social person, and she wasn't very uncomfortable with her weight physically. Just genetically, she was just able to hold that much weight and physically be fine. And her biggest issue was honestly like her mental health with that amount of weight and the social implications, and like her dad just being a jerk to her. But she was very socially active. She was a teacher. She was a great grandmother, and she was very active in my life and in the rest of her grandkids' lives. And like, I wouldn't say that if somebody told me she was lazy, I would be very confused. And then my other grandma, she was like the opposite. She was Asian, and me and her I got a lot of her genetics, where like a lot of Asian people genetically don't have as many fat cells, and so if you fill up those fat cells that you have less of, you start to have worse implications sooner, because there's just less. Your body starts to freak out a lot sooner. And so mentally, she was like completely fine being obese and that kind of thing, but physically she was having a really difficult time. And I think because mentally she was not beating herself up or feeling guilty about being bigger, she was able to lose. She doesn't have diabetes anymore. She used to have diabetes. She doesn't anymore. I mean, as much as you cannot have diabetes anymore, like, she doesn't have to take medication, her blood sugar is under control, all of that. And that was great for her. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that she didn't really care. She didn't have guilt. It was more just like, this medication is really expensive, and also I feel really physically uncomfortable. But like, my grandma is awesome. She's really cool. She's very much like, why would you ever get married? Like, if my grandma could relive her life here in America, because she's an immigrant, her and my father were both immigrants, and if she could relive her life in America, she would not get married ever. Like, and not because she hates men, just because she's like, why would I ever do? She's like me a little bit, like, well, okay, I'm in a relationship despite being in America, but like, I don't know how to explain this well. I don't hate men. My grandma doesn't hate men. We just, we like our space. We like being surrounded by intelligent people. And, you know, it's, we are so similar. I remember her telling one of, like, my grandpa's brother's, like a sister-in-law, I guess, that basically she was an idiot. And like, my grandma doesn't even, like, I wouldn't say that she like dislikes her or anything, but like, she doesn't like that she's very clear on people that she wants to spend time around and people that she doesn't. And I think in her mind, she's like, why would I marry anyone when like I would have to be surrounded by them all of the time? Like, I don't think she would get married again. And that's the kind of attitude, I guess, I have been surrounded with. Like, I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, back to the main subject of like people being lazy. Yeah, and I don't think my grandma was the grandma that was like had diabetes and changed her life, I guess, in that regard. It wasn't, she changed her life, but it wasn't so drastic, I should say. Like, it wasn't a huge thing for her. The hardest thing was not eating rice anymore, or switching the kind of rice that she ate, because we are Asian and she grew up and lived her whole life eating rice, and the rice that we were eating had a really high glucose content, I suppose. I forgot. I don't think it's glucose specifically, but there's a lot of sugar in it, and so she had to stop eating that every day for every meal, and now she eats it a few times a week. And you know, that was probably the most difficult part for her, but mentally it wasn't a challenge at all. And I think it's because she didn't have any shame associated, because she didn't grow up here. She doesn't speak the language super well at all, really. And so she didn't have the concept of, oh, this is a shameful thing. It was more a clinical thing of like, oh, I will have to keep paying for this medication. I won't live as long as if I continue this way. So I just have to like change this aspect of it. And it's a lot easier to make changes like that when you don't have all of that extra shame mindset. And I think in America, in the United States, and maybe in some places in Asia, I'm not really on social media, and I don't, even though I am Asian, I don't follow any pop culture, really anything. I don't really pay attention to pop culture. I don't really care. Like, the most that I do is every once in a while I'll see some really cool makeup, and then I don't change my makeup style that much. I like the makeup style that I do, and I might try some different things out. But anyways, yeah, I think, I don't know, it's difficult to explain well, because we all have shame to some degree for different things. Potentially, maybe not everyone has shame. Maybe you don't. I don't know. That would be great. If you don't experience shame, let me know, because that is crazy. But like, that is great for you. And it is crazy because I don't know if socially we really talk about that, or people, I don't know. You know, this is an intense color. I put this on my face the other day, and that was intense. It was an intense mess. But yeah, it can be really difficult, I think, to separate the two, and I think it's really difficult to make any changes and do it well if you are in a place, if you're coming from a place of shame and needing to change because of the shame that you feel. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, I'm not a therapist, but when I was getting over my eating disorder and I was healing from that, I had a lot of shame around it, but that wasn't really like the fuel for my fire. The fuel for my fire was really like, part of the reason I had a really bad eating disorder was because of my situation. I was in a very abusive situation, and my abuser died. They died. I didn't kill them. Just making that clear. Just in case, I don't know. Just in case that ever comes up, I don't know. But they did die. I guess I have to say that because they were killed by someone. But that, like, the whole case is closed, and like it was solved. And a lot of the things that were driving my eating disorder was the fact that this person, like, I couldn't get them out of my life. Realistically, like, in theory, you know, I could definitely have gotten them out of my life, but realistically and logistically, it was really difficult. And I was also young. And, you know, like, I still wanted to be part of my family, and I still had this hope of like, oh, everything is going to work out, you know, everything is going to be fine, and I'm not going to be the black sheep, and one day everyone will accept me, and blah 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 blah. Guess what? I mean, maybe that's happened, but like, I stopped caring about that. I just stopped caring about that, and that is what helped me get out of that mindset. And, you know, I'm very, I don't want to say proud, but I feel almost like I have done the impossible by getting over my eating disorder. And I say getting over because I have been told by most people, I'm using this, I really, really enjoy this product. Tangent. I love this product. This is the first Fenty product that I have used, and I got it because of the packaging and the color. I'm not in the sheen. I really like it has a little bit of sheen, but it's not glittery. I do not like chunky glitter on my face unless it's like for a specific look. But for just every day, I love this color. I love everything about this. I love the packaging. I like this 1, 2, 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I like this octagon. This is an octagon, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Fuck, I don't know. I like this shape. I like this fun thing. The packaging is sturdy. It's light, but it doesn't feel like I could throw this across the room and it's not gonna break. This hinge is good. It has a little like indentation here that is just really satisfying to hold and grip, and the color is just amazing. I enjoy this product so much, and I think this was like $36 or $42, something in there. Do I think it's worth that? No. But I only have 2 blushes, and I love this product, and I probably talked about this yesterday, and I will probably continue talking about it because I love this product so much, and I am sorry, I don't think you can get it anymore. Hopefully they bring it back because it is so good. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm proud of overcoming my eating disorder, and I say that because, so I think the rhetoric around, I'm not super sure, I think the rhetoric around eating disorders is like, you're in recovery and you are a recovered, or somebody, I think it's talked a lot or similarly as addiction of like, you're always in recovery, or like you're recovered, blah, blah, blah. And technically, yes, but like, since, like, it took me probably 2 years, maybe 3 years to fully recover. It took me a year to not get the urge to partake in activities that spurred on my ED, and it took me another 2 years to completely change my life, to control my mental state, to not have the issues anymore, so that even when I'm in an environment that's super triggering or would have been super triggering, I don't have an emotional or mental response to it, like Pavlov's theory almost. So that took a while, and I am not afraid of being in environments or situations that would, here it is, kind of spur that on, or would have in the past. And I'm not worried about relapsing or anything like that. And I feel like a completely different person. And yes, technically I still have the ability to do that because I did that. And I think, I remember hearing, I'm going into the shade here, before I started my journey for recovery, I was really discouraged by some of the other women in my life who were basically like, you know, there's no point. I think they didn't want me to go to recovery. I'm thinking this because I haven't like talked to them about it, because I don't talk to them anymore, but I'm guessing that they didn't want me to go to recovery because I would probably, like, they knew that the abuse at home was spurring on a lot of the eating disorder. And I think like the family unit was really, really important to them, and making sure that, like, my abuse was so bad, guys, that when family services came to my house, these people, that these adults, not family services, but the ones that I'll be talking about in a second, were literally telling me that if I told the truth about what was happening at home, that I would be breaking up the family, and since it was only happening to me, that I would be the reason that my family broke up. Obviously, I was like 8 years old when I was like first being told this stuff, and I remember at 8 years old being like, what the fuck is this person on? Like, I have always had a very fiery, stubborn streak, and I remember thinking that, and I ended up not saying anything to child services about how bad it actually was. I told them a little bit, but it wasn't enough to like spur on a continued investigation. And mostly because I was afraid of retaliation, because that was very prevalent in my life, was like a constant retaliation situation against me. And so when I definitely should have gone to like a treatment facility for my ED, but these people who knew about it, I think they were afraid that once I went to the treatment facility that they wouldn't have any power over me to like convince me not to tell people about what was going on, because like I still had siblings that were really young at the time, and so I think that they were afraid that the family again would be broken up. because I would definitely have told, because I did tell a lot of people what was happening, and I think it was really unbelievable. The things that I would say and the things that were happening in my house were really unbelievable, because like people didn't believe it. People did not believe it, or else, you know, I wouldn't have been in that situation for so long. And so one of the things that I was told about my ED from other women in my family who had EDs and I would say continue to have them, was that, oh, you're never going to get over this. Like, you're always going to have an eating disorder, and you're always going to be fighting the urge, and you're always going to be having this same struggle no matter what age you are. And so, like, basically there's no point in trying to recover, because it's like, oh, you're always going to be this way. And that might have been true for them. I'm going to use this very dirty brush, and I'm going to go in with a highlighter. I'm going to go in with this one to kind of match the pink. And it might have been true for them, and it might be true for a lot of people who struggle with like addiction. And because I would definitely say eating disorders is that you have to have an addictive personality to have an eating disorder. It requires a lot of control and OCD and that sort of thing to be able to maintain an eating disorder for a long time, or like any, I don't know, I'm not so like, I don't want to disrespect people who deal with like substance abuse and that sort of thing, so I don't want to say that it's like the same exact struggle at all, because I really don't know, but I do know that with eating disorders, it's very similar. And I honestly don't, because I didn't get professional treatment for it, I don't know the treatment protocols or if it's anything similar or anything like that. My treatment program, I don't want to say, I'm not proud of having an eating disorder. It's something that just happened. It's something that I did. But I did get through it, and I have not had an eating disorder for 7 years now. Not once, even when I was going through like really bad situations that would trigger that beforehand, or like trigger another spiral beforehand, I didn't have any inkling to do it. I'm really happy about that. And I think the closest thing that I come to for that, of when I am looking at myself and I'm like, okay, I need to recalibrate, I need to think about my actions right now, is like when I don't have a huge appetite naturally. I just like, okay, that's most of the time I don't. When I'm PMSing right now, and this week was really, my appetite was really high. It was really high, and it doesn't really bother me when it's high, but it is something where I'm like, oh, this is what people mean when they talk about food noise, because I don't have food noise really, and I don't have a huge appetite, and so I have to make sure that I am like eating enough some of the time, or like I have to eat even when I'm not hungry necessarily some of the time, because like I have goals with the bodybuilding, and so I need to make sure, and I'm not like binging either, like when I'm having to eat, binging and then just like being full, or just being like slightly over full because you need to get in your protein. Like, yeah, I think from my perspective, my diet is pretty good. It's not like I don't eat like so clean or anything like that. But I don't have any shame when it comes to like the food that I'm eating, or that, I don't know. It's a little difficult, but I would say, I don't know if I would even say that that's the closest that I come maybe to going back to having an eating disorder, because like there are times I have to consciously eat, versus like intuitive eating. Because if I intuitively ate, my eating habits, I would not get to the goals that I have when it comes to bodybuilding. And also, like, I would be tired a lot of the time because I wouldn't eat enough, probably. And also not like I'm not consciously being like, oh, I'm so tiny, I eat so little, blah 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 blah, because I don't feel like that at all. And like I don't, and I'm fine with that. It's just like I just don't have a huge appetite, I suppose, and I like eating junk food. I do like eating junk food. But yeah, that's probably the closest, is like making sure that I am actually eating enough. Oh my God, has it really been an hour? Oh my God, it's been too long. Okay, I'm gonna curl my eyelashes a little bit, just so that I can wear my glasses and not have it hit. It's been too long. Oh my gosh. That's okay. I personally don't know if anyone's gonna watch this, and probably not. And I like watching makeup for Last Time. I like watching her like 2-hour videos. I will just be at work and having her on my phone and listen to her talk for 2 hours. I just love it. She's so fun. And so whatever, I'll do the same thing. So anyway, this is my makeup look. Put my hair down and put my glasses on because that's what I'm gonna be looking like today. But yeah, hopefully this was an interesting conversation for you and made you think a little bit about, you know, where you're being comfortable in your life and not being okay with the discomfort. And if there's anything that you specifically want to change, or goals that you have that maybe you need to realign some things. I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I'm just talking about my own life, and yeah, hopefully you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow probably. Bye bye.